This is Eitan Weinstein.
And I'm Naor Menninger, and you're listening to Two Nice Jewish Boys.
This podcast is sponsored by The Forward. Stay up to date with unlimited access to news, culture, and opinion all through a Jewish lens. And for our listeners, for 2NJB listeners, get 6 months of The Forward for only $10. That's 67% off. An exclusive subscription offer for our listeners, forward.com/2NJB, and get 6 months for $10. Also in collaboration with Arutz Sheva, IsraelNationalNews.com. And last but not least, in collaboration with Australian Jewish News, check them out at ajn.timesofisrael.com.
What are we starting
Hello,
with?
everybody.
Let's start with telling people that after a long and productive few years, we parted ways with the Jewish Journal.
Yes.
And we thank them so much.
Yes, we really
Yeah.
appreciate the collaboration, the partnership that we had with them.
Yeah, and we set on a new path with The Forward.
Yes.
And they're very cool, and it's a good time to thank Danielle Baron for hooking us up, helping us.
Danielle, always bringing it in.
Yeah, she's the best, and she writes for The Forward, so you should definitely check out her past articles and stay tuned.
And the editor there is Rob Eshman, who
Yes.
we, of course, love and adore.
Yes.
So shout out to Rob as
And
well, and the
you
whole
gotta
team
follow his
there.
Instagram because he cooks some very
Amazing dishes.
very amazing
Yeah.
Palestinian Israeli dishes, like the Palestinian cuisine, the Israeli Arab cuisine, the Jewish cuisine, all kinds of interesting fusion stuff. Anyway, so yeah,
Check
so
them out. Check them out at forward.com. You can check them out at forward.com. And guys,
Yes.
really, you get an amazing exclusive offer for podcast listeners. Go to forward.com
for our podcast.
for our podcast listeners. Forward.com/2NJB. Forward.com/2NJB. And you get 67% off of the first 6 months. So
Yeah.
you basically get 6 months for $10.
Yeah.
$10.
Yeah.
What do you
Mm.
spend $10 on? You spend
Like
$10
the holidays
on
are coming up.
2 meals at McDonald's. Not even.
Not even.
I feel like one meal at McDonald's costs $10 today. So are you going to get a meal at McDonald's, or are you going to get 6 months worth of stimulating intellectual content
Mm-hmm.
on news, politics, opinion pieces, all through a Jewish lens?
And us.
And us, yes.
So what have you been up to this month?
Wow. What have I been up to? Looking for apartments mainly. It's I think that was one of our first episodes was me looking for an apartment
Yeah.
because we moved into my current
Some
apartment
things don't
3
change.
years ago. Yeah.
I guess.
We just visited an apartment. We might be moving soon. We're still debating about it. And
In Jaffa.
Yeah. Well, North Jaffa. It's not quite Jaffa yet.
Yeah.
It's like North Jaffa, South Tel Aviv.
North Jaffa is not Jaffa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
We wouldn't live in
in
Jaffa.
Jaffa, I feel at home. So yeah, so that's basically what I've been up to.
But wouldn't it be easier? Because it has been said that people are leaving Tel Aviv essentially because
They
it's
can't
not
afford
as attractive. Yeah, so like if you lose your job and you pay so much for an apartment, but the
Yeah.
city is not the same, right?
One of the apartments we went to visit was a guy who works at Google, developer. And Google, yeah, I know,
poor guy.
Google put out a statement that they're not bringing people back to the office until next August. So he's just like, all right, well, bye,
Yeah.
and he's moving up north
Wow.
to live around his family for a year.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. And
But I'm not feeling the price drop in Tel Aviv. You should
That's
expect it to
interesting.
go down, but I don't feel any price drop. I mean, it seems like the market is just as ridiculous as it always was.
because the city is not as fun as it was before. I mean, sure, some restaurants are open, some pub bars are open.
Pretty much all of them are.
No, first of all, not all of them are.
I haven't seen one. I mean, we go to Port Said on Friday. It's packed. All the
many
Shani
are open,
restaurants.
but not all of them reopened. First of all, but second of all, living in Tel
Some of
Aviv,
them shut down.
some
because
shut down,
They
and
weren't.
some
They didn't survive it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but some didn't shut down and yet didn't open. But I know for about at least one. But living in Tel Aviv wasn't just about the bars and the restaurants. Like you had shows, you had in the summer, you had concerts, you had parties, you had clubs, you had get-togethers, you had all kinds of things that now are missing. So
going out downstairs in this weather with a mask is just like hell. So
yeah,
just
you
living
told
in
me
the city
last week how horrific was your date night.
Why?
Because it was hot, like so hot, and you.
We walked back from the Thai house, which is like, I don't know, 40-minute walk from our house, and it was just awful.
But do you sit inside the restaurant? Because
we sat inside.
And
they had a lot of space. They had a lot of space between the tables. But the waitress basically spoke into our mouths. She was just like, without the mask, they put the mask down here. It's like, what's the point? And she was just like hovering over us, yelling at us. And I was like, what the fuck? People don't pick up on the etiquette.
Not here, at least.
Some do.
Some do. So it's not as fun. So young people are saying to themselves, like, why should I pay the prices of 2019 when it's to 2020?
Yeah, the prices are still
consequences.
No, the prices are 2020. They went up. But speaking of Corona.
Yeah, you want to go right there? We talked so much about it.
Yeah, but I feel like I can't shut up about this because it's just I feel like I'm the only one also that gets angry about it.
Yeah.
Like you listen to the news here in Israel, and even the people that you would feel like are on your side of the aisle.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Yoav Rabinovich, who we had on the podcast, and the episode will be coming out soon, said this to me. He said, I listened to your podcast and I heard your views and I don't hear them here in Israel.
Yeah.
And it's so upsetting. It's so true. It's just so, there's something like, so like hopeless about it.
Yeah. You're the only one who shouts that the king is naked.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel
You're
like
the boy.
that. I really do. I feel like it is. And it's not like I feel like special because of it. I feel really alone because of it. Like I feel like upset by the fact that not anybody has these values.
Yeah, to me, like the thing. Okay, let's fill up the audience about what's been going on here. Essentially, the situation isn't good. I mean, the numbers of the sick are skyrocketing. We had like 3,000 a day. Now it's something between 2,000 and 3,000 a day. New cases.
We passed 1,000 deaths.
We passed 1,000 deaths. Death per capita, we are in a very low place in the world. But sick per capita, new cases per capita, we're very high. We're the highest in the world, actually.
Yeah.
But the main issue is that like the cities with the most cases are Arab and ultra-Orthodox cities. And that's a huge debate here in Israel. Everybody's talking about it. What can be done? And also another debate is how, because, every week we had the Maya email from the demonstrations. Every Saturday there are huge demonstrations outside of the Prime Minister's residence. And these demonstrations still take place weekly with thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of people, very crowded. But and on the same note, they don't allow, for example, now in Rosh Hashanah, they are not going to allow people in the Kotel. Yeah,
to do slichot, which is the
and
morning
it's open
prayers.
air. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference? And I've seen this amazing, hilarious debate in Channel 13 with Chen Lieberman, who was also a guest here a long time ago. And maybe we should bring her again. And she debated with a right-wing reporter, Inon Magal, and he tells her why demonstrations yes and
prayers
no. And she's like, but don't you care about the freedom of... To her, there's the freedom of speech, which is high higher than.
I wouldn't say it's the freedom of speech even.
That's how she says it. She says
freedom of
freedom of demonstration in the democracy.
Yeah.
It's very important, and the rest is dangerous.
Yeah. The freedom to demonstrate and protest is not the same as freedom of speech. I think that needs to be said, because when you demonstrate, you take over. When you're hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people, right? The Paris Square protests, as Noor mentioned, in Jerusalem, here in Israel, are around 25 to 30,000 people every week.
So they claim, but it's
debatable. But if you're in the tens of thousands of people, you are
packed.
That is a type of violence. You are taking over the public space. You're not allowing people to use public
they're blocking
public
the roads.
goods. You're
They're
blocking the roads.
Yeah.
No, but you're also causing a lot of noise. Residents in the area have already complained. You're causing a lot of noise. You are doing more than just expressing yourself. You're allowed to say what you want, write what you want, wherever you want, say whatever you want to whoever. Not actually in Israel, but that is the value of free speech, and the value to demonstrate, like the right to demonstrate is different. But yeah,
so to her and to many people on the left, like there's the right to demonstrate, and all the rest, it's like it's too dangerous. But that is not dangerous enough.
There's no difference. There's no difference to congregate to demonstrate or to congregate to pray. You could say it's the same. We are getting together. We don't want to yell at Bibi for whatever he's been doing. We want to yell to God and ask him for help.
So that's what the ultra-Orthodox say. Like, why? And also they say something else. They say, and because now there have been
the democracy.
So many of the sick are in yeshivas. So in the yeshivas, there was one yeshiva in Carmiel where out of 400 yeshiva buchers, 300, have you seen? How's my Yiddish, by the way?
Bachas.
Yeshiva buchers. 300 got sick. And the Haredi say, give us, we know what to do. Like, give us, we have judgment. If we choose to continue the yeshivas, and we take the risk, we take the responsibility. Leave us be. Which is interesting. It's a semi-libertarian approach. The only problem is that I pay for their health bill.
Yeah, but there you go. When everything's interconnected, you can't start excusing things like that. It's just like the argument that we should lock down because, my counter argument is always, well, whoever wants to stay home, stay home. Like, why do we need the government telling us that this area needs to stay home or everybody needs to stay home? Everybody takes their own risk assessment, stays home if they want to stay home, and that's it. But then they say no. But if everybody goes, then it's going to skyrocket. The numbers are going to skyrocket, and the health services will crash. And then me, an innocent person who stayed home, won't get my health services. It's always this long chain. You end up finding. So yeah, when you live in a socialist country where the government, all the power is centralized in one place and everything's interconnected, your health and your this and your pension and everything is connected, and I'm paying for him because I pay this amount of taxes and they get free stuff, and then no one can do anything. Everybody's got to agree on everything.
No,
that's
but
the
what
whole
I'm
point.
Saying is
I get, like, we're all paying taxes and they're getting stuff for free and that should end. But until that ends, that doesn't mean that we should now take away their right. You're digging yourself deeper into this interconnected web of nonsense.
Of course, this is the given situation. We got to work with what we have. But I think this is a very good time to start a conversation because nobody's talking about it. Nobody is talking about the simple fact that I pay the health bill of all those ultra-Orthodox.
You pay everybody's health.
Okay, but it's not even discussed. It's like, it's obvious. It's something, it's like we breathe, right?
Yeah.
To everyone here. And I think this is a good opportunity to talk about it because I feel that in general, if anyone knew that there are like here in Israel, I feel there's only one language, right? The pocket, the wallet. Like this is how people here think. You don't want to be flyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I know that there are consequences to my actions, if I know that if I get sick,
Yeah.
I need to pay the bill, it'll cost me, then I will take more measures maybe to prevent it. Then maybe your waitress would cover her face because maybe she knows it'll cost her so much if she got sick. Okay, so that's a problem. It's a problem because that's why these populations, the ultra orthodox and the Arabs, they afford themselves to be.
But the reason we bring this up today is because one of the things that's kind of on the docket. I mean, it was decided against. They pulled back from it, right? Today. But
they postponed it.
They postponed it
to tomorrow, allegedly.
Yeah, but they might postpone it again. I mean, it's still kind of up in the air. But basically, the government decided to do a semi-lockdown on 40 red cities that are labeled red. The country ranked. They put a commissar in power, basically. And
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's not, the power is not centralized enough. So no, I'm kidding. His power isn't total, but they put a guy in charge basically of getting the corona under control, because everybody knows that that's what you need to get something massive under control, is one guy who knows everything, because that's possible. So they put one guy in control of it all, and he came up with this method to rank all the cities according to a traffic light. Genius.
Yeah. Very intuitive.
And it's not even a traffic light because it's got 4 colors.
Yeah.
It's got green, orange, yellow, and red. I guess traffic lights have
now they have also extra red.
Yeah, and now they have extra red. This is a great traffic light. I hope they don't put him in charge of designing traffic lights. So basically they have green as you can guess. Green's good, red's bad. There's 40 red cities in Israel, and they want to put them under lockdown. And this just drives me insane. I don't understand how it's like even
not only you, also the
constitutional. Like, there is no constitution in Israel, and we keep getting back to that point on this podcast, but maybe that's part of the problem. But how can you just decide to like, no one's talking about, I heard them interview the mayor of Bet Shemesh, which is one of the cities that's being locked down. And they were trying to get her to talk about like whether or not she will listen to the abide by the dictate of the government, and how she heard about it, and whether or not she was involved in the decision. And that's the discussion, is whether or not she decides to lock down her city, or the central government gets to lock down her city. No one's talking about the fact that you're locking up, I don't know what the population of Bet Shemesh is, I'm assuming a couple 100,000 of people. No,
not a couple of
100,000, 50,000 people. Like you're just locking them up. All these 40 cities are definitely a couple
only
100,000.
Only at nighttime.
That was the compromise.
Yeah.
The original plan was to lock these cities down completely, and then Bibi came up with a compromise to lock them down only at night. So far, it's been postponed. But just the fact that they have the power now to do that, and to just lock up hundreds of thousands of people in their homes, just because, the percent, and no one understands really why. But even if you put the line somewhere, you say, okay, the city's infection rate is at 12% or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Who decides where the line is, and why is the line at 12 and not at 11 or 13? And
it's intuitive. The specialist decides.
No one's talking about it.
But if they don't do anything, right, and they don't lock down these cities, and you get so many hard cases of corona, and the hospitals say, I can't handle it anymore. What do you do then?
We've been saying if for so long, and so many people are coming out now and saying that these lockdowns don't actually help. They don't do anything. Whether or not they do anything or they don't, I don't think is the point. It's just the fact. And you know what? You look at the list of 40 cities, they're all poor. They're the poorest of the poor. Mm-hmm. It's such a socialist, elitist, like fascist way of looking at the world. Because and we need to take care of this corona. So let's lock up the city. In the end, what you're doing is you're putting the poor people who always suffer the worst from these kind of situations, and you're saying,
But these
let's lock 'em
populations are
up.
poor by choice, as opposed to, I don't know.
Yeah, poverty. I mean, then we're getting into the discussion of whether how much poverty is a matter of choice and how much it's a matter of your own.
Yeah, but
And I would
these
agree
are-
with you
these
that in
are-
a free society, you have a lot of agency and you should take your life into your own hands. But in
Problem
the
is
end,
they're
there's
taking
poor
me down
people.
with them. These people who chose to do dozens of kids, okay, per family,
Yeah.
and live the way they live and don't work and go study Torah, and in the Arabs' cases, the mother stays at home, and only
But that's
and-
exactly the point. It is not your right to lock up the poor people because you think that they live a life of bad values in their.
No,
You know, I mean, it's
don't
the same
care
logic
about their
as the.
life.
I know. I'm not.
I'm
Compa-
just saying that
Yeah.
now their way of life threatens my life, because here Tel Aviv is a green city for almost right now, okay? But eventually they'll leak, the sickness will leak out of those cities, the Haredi, the ultra orthodox, and the Arab cities, into here. And although we are playing by the rules
Yeah.
mostly, we will suffer from their I don't know, negligence.
That's living
That's
in
the
a
problem.
society.
No, it's living in the Israeli society.
No, it's always
In
the United
in
States.
Sweden, they're all in the same boat. They're all in the same boat. Everybody,
Oh, because they're socioeconomically homogenic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's.
and culturally.
First of all, they're not totally socioeconomically homogenic, but they're a very rich country because of natural resources and because of capitalist economy, and they're benefiting in Sababa. So they all are roughly on the same plane. But you can't have. I mean, that's not the situation in most countries. Usually, you have gaps in income, and you have poor people, and you have people who are more well off, which I think is the natural way of the world.
So you don't think hospitals can collapse in Israel?
I don't know if they can collapse
But-
or not, but I
But
think
those
that,
who do know say that they might.
I think that they have a higher chance
It's
of
a real and
collapsing
present danger.
if they're built on foundation of being managed by the government.
But they are being managed by the government.
But they're not totally right in Israel. Like you have these, like you have an
The money-
outsourcing of healthcare from the government. So there's it's sort of like the Shitata Shovarim that they're talking about for education, right?
Right.
Like you get basically the government fund. You have to buy healthcare for a minimal amount.
Insurance.
And that minimal amount kind of gives
But
some
in the
kind
end,
of
the money
competition.
comes from the state. The state finances.
Most of the money, yeah.
Yeah, and now they are out of money because people don't go to operations because they're afraid.
Yeah.
And they go to the government and say, give us more money.
Yeah. Look, I think the healthcare system could collapse. I think society can collapse. That's the issue, right? And that's what we're like. In the end, there is a risk to living on the planet. Sometimes the risk is higher, and sometimes the risk is lower. I mean, you can go live on Mars if you don't want any risk, but I think it's going to be a little more risky up there. But there's a risk to living on the planet. Society has things that threaten it. One of those things is diseases.
Yeah, but
And the
for
question
us,
is, how
the
do you
people-
deal with
The
it?
people who work, the
Yeah.
people who are responsible, make responsible choices, and do children in accordance with the economic situation and are rational. Okay, these people,
Yeah.
are more in danger here in Israel because of the society here than if I would live in Australia or in New Zealand.
So then you can.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
No,
you
I
can
can't.
Try. You can
No, I
apply for
can't.
citizenship.
No,
you
I
can get.
can't.
You can get European
can't.
citizenship.
I
You
can't.
can
But
get
why should
Polish-
I? Why
You
should
can
I
get
go?
Polish citizenship.
I can't actually.
You can't.
No.
Okay, Romanian.
Maybe.
Okay, so you can get a citizenship. We can move abroad or try and
Okay.
get a visa for the states.
But why I should? Why?
because this is the
why?
because
no,
that is
But
the,
I want.
no because that
I
is
want-
democracy. You have the right to live in a country. You have certain inalienable rights, right? That's like at the basis of democracy. And one of those is that I can't make you do anything. I can't make you do anything except for not hurt me. And the idea that you possibly infecting me with a disease because you are of a certain background or from a certain place is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Like,
Why?
because it's
Why?
ludicrous. Because again, it's 15% of the population in these cities, right? Even if it was 50%, you don't know who's sick. You don't know.
But you know that Bnei Brak is a red city and that Tel Aviv is a green city. Okay.
But who? No, you know that red city and green city aren't concepts that exist. 15% is a concept, right? That's math. But red city is just something that someone decided.
Yeah. Okay. But
Okay,
the
so
point is,
what about in the flu? Sometimes there's a flu pandemic. So why don't we decide that during the flu, also you can't leave if you're above 7%?
because it's not as infectious and not as
Thousands
dangerous.
of people, tens of thousands of people die a year in the United States from flu.
No,
Here,
not in Israel.
thousands also die every
Mm.
year. Yeah.
No. No, maybe
well-
a couple of thousand. But the problem is like
Yeah.
the deal right now, to me the social deal now in Israel, it doesn't work anymore. So something has to change. I accept that the state maybe has no right to lock these population up, but it does have a right to stop financing them.
No, absolutely.
So either or, you know.
No,
so,
absolutely.
so-
I agree
so-
with you, but
so-
I doubt that that's the direction Corona's going to take us in. You think that's the direction it's going to take us in?
I think if I think this is where we're going because people are going to smarten up.
You're optimistic.
I think so. This is why you see Bennett and Lapid are getting so strong because people, the non-orthodox people, you know, I even saw a tweet by Akiva Bigman, who is Bennett's, like he writes in Israel Hayom, and he's like he has a kippah sruga,
Yeah.
needed yarmulke,
Yeah.
which means he's religious. He's not ultra-orthodox. He tweeted it. It's amazing that he tweeted against the ultra-orthodox, really criticizing them for taking us all to the pit with their behavior. And I think society is going to divide. It's going to be those who work, those who take responsible choices in life, against those who live by our hand.
So I think I don't think it's the ultra orthodox. I have a different paradigm.
Okay.
I think it's poor people, right? People living in poverty generally experience the worst parts of society. They experience disease worse. They experience crime worse, right? They have higher rates of crime, higher rates of disease, shorter lifespans, right? The poor people have a worse life. It's no big surprise.
Okay.
Statistically, you look at it, any aspect of life, you're going to see that they suffer from more diseases, right?
Okay.
Diabetes, right? It's more prevalent in poor in the people who are lower on the socioeconomic ladder. All these diseases. So poor people have it worse off. It doesn't have to do whether or not they're ultra orthodox or they're Arab or they're I don't know.
But there's correlation,
Indians, right?
But there is correlation in Israel.
No, it's just
What do you mean?
There's no correlation. It's the fact that the correlation is the socialist system. The welfare state. And that's how I see it. I see that I agree with you that we need to cut ties between the welfare state and the poor, right? Because that is what ultimately will lift them out of
But
poverty.
you can't ignore the correlation between being poor and being ultra-Orthodox or Arab in Israel.
No, I don't think so. So.
Why not?
I mean,
these
because
populations,
that's
they don't work.
so
and
there's
they make so many children.
There's a correlation, but
No.
is there causation? And that's the question. Is there
No.
there's correlation? Yeah, you can say a lot of
There are
things.
ultra-Orthodox families.
You can find a
who
lot
who work. I know who work. It's not.
So what does that mean? So I
But
don't understand the use if there's correlation. I mean, it's like you can cut up society, you can cut up demographics in all kinds of ways and find correlations, right? You can say old people, I don't know, or have a certain tendency. So old people are bringing us down because they also have higher rates of infection and disease.
No, but all people don't choose to be old. But ultra orthodox, they choose to be poor. They choose not to work. They choose to make huge families. And also the Arab families, they choose to bring some, and they choose that the mother doesn't go to work, and they choose to make more children that they can afford.
True.
So these two huge populations, there's correlation between poverty and them. It's like this famous saying by did Netanyahu say it?
What?
That I don't remember, but it's a very famous saying here in Israel. "Benikui הערבים והחרדים מצבנו מצוין," right? It was about the economy in Israel, I guess, 10 years ago. And if you deduce...
No, if you factor out...
Yeah.
If you factor out the ultra-Orthodox and the Arabs, we're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the problem. And this is a sentiment upon which Lapid's father became so powerful in the early 20th century.
Yeah, but I think I that's what I'm saying. I think it's a circle, and obviously I hold these people individually to account. But I think that as a community, I don't hold them to account. I don't see anything wrong with being an Arab, right? Or anything wrong with being an ultra-Orthodox or the values that they hold.
Me neither.
I think that they that as a community they are more prone to falling prey to the welfare state, and also the welfare state is I guess I would hold a lot of their leaders responsible, but I don't think it's kind of like the welfare state with the black family in the United States, where the welfare state started supporting single parent homes, and you started getting welfare checks if you were a single mother, and it basically pushed whereas in the 1970s there was 25% of kids growing up in a single parent home, and now it's 75%. It's the same thing. I think that when you start pouring money down, I agree that should stop happening. When you start pouring money into yeshivas and into ultra Orthodox communities, then you're going to see this.
And hospitals and paying their bills.
But that's what I'm saying. Where is the issue? It's like you can't, like, I hold each person who is living in that state or accepting these checks and not going out to work responsible for his actions.
Okay.
But the ultra-Orthodox community, I think, would look entirely different if there was no welfare state.
Of course.
And you see that because there are extremely successful ultra-Orthodox business people, right?
Yeah.
Both in New York and here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see, like, their
once
their
they make
affinity,
a choice,
once they have to make a choice often. And that's what I'm saying, is that,
I think it all leads there. That's the point, though. This whole situation just makes this discussion more relevant.
Yeah.
And I think people start realizing that something has to be done.
I don't know. I mean, look at where the situation has taken us. We've given all the power to the central government to make whatever decision they want in regards to Corona. They started handing out free money for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how are we?
They decline in the polls, and Lapid and Bennett and they're both in the opposition. They become stronger.
Man,
so it shows the sentiment.
I
feel. Anyway, something entirely different.
Yes.
Last week, there was this amazing article by Netael Bendel in Haaretz, and you can Google it in English, and you'll find it also. And it was just mind-blowing. It depicted a unit. Turns out there's a unit.
Yeah.
In the Ministry of Justice. And
a
special unit inside the ministry. And they are responsible on, how do they define it? Protecting the respect and the integrity of judges on the internet.
It's crazy.
Okay, that's the units. So essentially, what they would do, That's
like what he was talking about Lukashenko. We also an episode that just came out today.
Exactly.
They serve the integrity of the justice.
Yeah. So these people who are getting paid by us would swipe the interwebs, and for any tweets or articles that might say poor, misfortunate things about the honorable, perfect judges.
Esther Hayut,
Yeah,
for example, who's the
judges.
Chief Justice.
For example, there was this satirical Twitter account, Fake Miriam Naor. Miriam Naor was the previous head of Supreme Court.
Yes.
So this fake Twitter account, Fake Miriam Naor, would go to tweets about people like journalists who would tweet about topical issues, and she would comment as Miriam Naor, saying funny things like, "Who do you think you are? I'm the one who makes the decisions here," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that unit, the special investigative unit, they approached Twitter, and the account is called Fake Miriam Naor. Okay, that's the name of the account. And they reached to Twitter
Oh God.
and they asked to take down the account because it hurts the integrity and the good name of the judge.
The retired judge.
The retired judge.
She's not even
Yes.
an active judge.
Yes.
God forbid.
Yeah. And all but the craziest story, they reached out to Google and asked to remove articles from
Search results.
search results, but articles of respectable news outlets like Haaretz and other newspapers. So articles that stated facts about judges. For example, there was this judge, very nothing famous, not like a very minor judge in some place in the country, and he was acquitted from a charge after a process or so of some sort. So the article just reported that this judge was acquitted. So this committee, this group, they applied to Google to remove it from search results.
That's
And other articles
just
as well.
scary.
It's just
It's just scary. But you know, the what's scariest about it is that there's probably people out there thinking to themselves, "Oh yeah,
it's an important
yeah.
job.
No, it is. I mean, fake news, right? You gotta protect you have to protect the public against fake news. I mean, what will people do if they read a lie, right? Like, what will happen to them? How irresponsible is it of the state to let people read lies? How irresponsible is it of Facebook and Google to let people spread lies? I mean,
And it
it's
remains
just
there
chaos.
forever, you know? What's this internet thing where articles just go out and then they stay forever?
Yeah,
What?
seriously. We need to preserve the truth, right?
Yeah.
And whose truth? Well, it's the truth. But then it's like that's what's so contradictory, right, about postmodernism is like, and this whole social justice warriors, right, is that they're postmodern, right? So there's no truth, but then we need to protect the truth and from fake news and from fake news outlets. So it's like, everybody has their truth, but there are lies.
Yeah.
But there's no one truth, but there are things that are untrue.
Yeah.
So, okay, you guys have tied yourself into a
So guys, check out the article.
pretzel.
I urge you to read it. It went pretty much under the radar. People talked about here a bit, but
That's
then
crazy.
it
Wait,
just-
are there other examples of like articles that they took down?
I don't remember anymore.
Someone took an unflattering photo of a judge and they were like, "No, she doesn't look, her skirt and her shirt
that's
don't
where-
match."
That's where we're going, man. That's where we're
Oh
going.
my
They're
God.
shameless.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And
And,
people,
yeah.
the problem is that in Israel, the justice system is seen as, or at least the Supreme Court is seen as this, court on high that has the moral high ground.
Yeah.
We need someone to watch over
Yeah.
us.
You're not allowed to criticize them.
Which it stems, I think, from that kind of, right? It's the same value system and worldview that leads to socialism and to a government that you see as kind of in charge, or the masses need a government to allocate things and to decide stuff and to be in charge of of everything. It's the same thing, right? So just like we need a government to kind of decide what to do with all the resources, we need somebody like, mom and dad. We need somebody to tell us what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
Right? It's just crazy, man.
Speaking about crazy, we got some comments. Want me to?
Oh, yes. I love these.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to talk about Iran torture? That was really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Essentially, there was an Amnesty report.
Real short.
Yeah, Amnesty report published a few days ago, depicting the fact that we forgot, but on November last year, you had riots in Iran because of the economic situation, and there's only one man responsible for them being in such a bad economic situation, and that's President Trump. Unfortunately, for people who hate him, but he did a really good job putting Iran on the knees.
The person who's responsible is Khamenei, but
but Trump really nailed them.
Yeah.
After Obama gave them a free pass, and now their situation is horrific. And in November, you had demonstrations. So the Iranians arrested thousands of people and tortured them in unimaginable ways, and eventually executed a lot of them. But you had an Amnesty report about the tortures. They managed to interview hundreds of survivors, and they told the techniques, and you have drawings of all the gruesome
it's frightening
techniques,
electric chairs,
all kinds of
waterboarding,
all kinds of
picture of a
they
guy
hang
holding
you
a gun to a head of someone on his knees,
and they pull you and they hang you from all different so, and nobody talked about it, of course. So I urge you again to Google Amnesty Report Iran torture and read, because
sometimes it's easy to forget, but Iran sucks. Iran really sucks. So check it out, guys. So read us our hate mail.
We did an episode last week with Ophir Dayan.
Yes.
And
let's just say our subscriptions are going the exact opposite direction as corona infections in Israel.
Look, guys, we're a topical podcast. Okay, sometimes, not always, but sometimes we do episodes about topical issues. And since most of our audience is in America, I think it's only legitimate that we discuss about the things that go on in America. Also because our brothers and sisters, American Jews, live there, and we hear about what's happening to them. So we don't live in America. We live in Israel.
Some of us lived in America.
Yeah, some of us lived
basically our whole lives. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, but it interests us. We think it's important. And you know what? Sometimes, first of all, I would say, and I thought, like, if Jews can talk about and criticize Israel and talk about the things that are going on here with the Palestinians, right? And also non-Jewish Americans, like everybody in America, right?
Yeah.
The reporters, they talk about it day and night, right? And they criticize, and they don't live here, right? But they talk about it. So why can't we talk about things that happen?
Also, the point that like you don't live here, so you can't talk about it. It's just a bad point. Like, get a better point.
Yeah,
get a better point.
So that's all because we got 2 reviews, so you can leave reviews to the podcast on iTunes.
Yes.
I'm not sure I want you guys to know about it anymore, but you can. So we got 2 really bad ones. So the first one, he says, blacks are equal to white. Really? No.
Which took a sharp turn. It's like, I'm with you. Really? No, they're not equal. That poor choice of words, man.
Yeah. I mean, why?
Are they not equal?
Yeah, it's problematic. So basically what he says is, first of all, he calls us 2 bozos. We have a zero idea about what the American black experience has been for hundreds of years. We speak as if...
No, read it.
I can't have... Okay, you go. You do it.
I can't have any respect for these two bozos who have zero idea what the American black experience has been for hundreds of years, yet speak as if they can judge how Americans who live here should feel and act. I would hope you both get educated because you act as if blacks are inherently inferior, like they can't get into Columbia U on their own because of their grades. Oh my God, you scary idiots. I'm sorry, it's just hilarious. They can't get in because of institutional racism. It exists everywhere, you fools. It's systemic. It's white privilege. Blacks do not live the same lives at all. Get educated. Stop blaming the black victims of police shootings that are clearly racial. Being white does give you an automatic privilege in the USA. Your lack of knowing this is shameful. Done with your pod. Too many episodes with your lack of a clue. Opinion is one thing. You can't make up your own facts to suit your thinking. All right. Good riddance.
Opinion is one thing.
Yeah.
Opinion is one thing, but what we have is not an opinion, my friend. No.
Yeah. No.
No.
It's lies.
It's lies.
This is why you need people, right, sifting
know
through the
truth.
fake news, who know the truth,
You have people who
and
have
decide.
a true opinion, and then you
Yes.
have people who have
Fake
no opinion.
opinions.
No, it's not even an opinion.
Yeah.
It's just lies.
No, but that'll be the next stage, right? There's news, and then there's fake news, so there'll be opinions
And fake
fake
opinions, yeah.
opinions. Editorial, fake editorial.
So where do we?
We don't.
We don't.
We just don't. Look, guys, you can disagree
First of all,
with
first
us.
of all.
Well, I
look,
just want to say you
yeah.
can disagree with us, but talk to the point. We can have a discussion. It's fine. You don't have to call people stupid, racist, uneducated just because you disagree with them. And if you do, you should probably ask yourself if maybe you feel a bit insecure in your own opinions. Have you thought those through? Because maybe you're calling people stupid and scary idiots because you don't have a better point.
Yeah.
So
Also,
talk.
also, to the point that he's trying to make, I guess. We don't. He says here, they can get to because. There was a thing I wanted to say about this thing he said, which is because he says essentially that we said about the African Americans that they are unequal. But the point is, to me, what we said, it's not about people in general. Some are better than the others in various ways. So they might be black or Asian or Jewish or Polish, right?
Yeah.
So some people are less educated than others, and it really doesn't matter what's the race.
No one's talking. First of all, I mean, I don't know. No one's talking about black people inherently being less educated.
I mean, they are talking about it.
Yeah, this guy's talking about it. We never said that black people are inherently less educated, less able to get into Columbia U. Black people, I don't think black people are more prone to crime because they are black. I don't think that they're poorer because they are black, but in the end, black people are, if as a community, as a demographic, more prone to crime. They are generally more poor, and they generally, I don't know, don't go to college as much. These
Brings
are all,
us to the
these are all
previous
facts.
discussion.
These are all facts, but I'm not saying it's because they are black, and we can have a discussion about that. I think that a black person can be just as intelligent and smart and successful as anybody else. And I mean, to think that we think any differently is just that you're not listening to what we're saying.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against black people. I don't have anything against anybody of any color. I just think that's ridiculous. You're not listening to what we're saying.
Read the other one.
Okay. BLM episode / appalling. Okay, I don't know what this is about. Is it about BLM episode or is it about appalling? If you would like to hold a meaningful conversation about the BLM movement in America, how about inviting a guest who can actually speak to those issues? 2 question marks. This Israeli student attended a few protests in New York, and suddenly that makes her an authority on systemic racism in America? 3 question marks. There's a pattern here. These hosts need to get educated rather than brushing these issues off because it's how African Americans, quote unquote, feel. Learn the facts. Talk to people who are actually at the center of this fight. Until then, I have lost all respect for you. These guys, unsubscribe. Okay.
So, guys, listen. We're an Israeli podcast, okay? We don't live in America. It's hard to bring, and up until today,
apologetic.
No, I'm stating a fact because
it's true.
People don't get it.
We can't just get anybody we want.
That first of all, we only do face-to-face interviews. Okay, we don't want to do Zoom interviews because they suck.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the simple reason why we would gladly bring BLM.
Oh, come on. No BLM member, whoever wrote that post, dude, no BLM member would ever be on this podcast, okay? Because you guys are not about free speech. We would happily invite anybody to this podcast.
No, but people who support BLM, someone would maybe come.
Here we go. I mean, she doesn't support BLM, but was on a campus and she can talk about her experience with BLM. Maybe we could get someone who supports BLM. I doubt that we would get anybody who's
if you know someone
really
who lives in
central
Israel
to the organization.
Yeah, if you know someone who's in Israel, but otherwise we live here. We can bring.
Yeah,
if you know an African American who lives in Israel.
Exactly. Alternate post. Hey guys, I think you're getting people on the podcast who don't really know what they're talking about. I suggest you bring on XYZ.
Yeah.
Wow. How that would have contributed something to the conversation.
Yeah, would gladly, we bring anyone to the show.
Oh, God.
And we had everybody.
Yeah.
From all. So yeah.
The point is that, honestly, and we should make this clear. We love you guys if you're listening. We really do. And we believe in free speech and in open dialogue and in conversation. That's what has brought the human race forward for over the last, thousands of years.
Right.
So have a conversation. You guys want to talk to us? Talk to us, right? We respond, actually. Even if you respond slightly not respectfully, we usually respond respectfully. So if you respond respectfully, we'll respond super respectfully.
Right. But also, I have to clarify one more thing. I don't presume to be educated about certain things. There are certain things, me personally, I don't know much about the history of African Americans because I'm not an American. I never delved into it. To me, you are the knowledgeable one. I think that you are very educated about these. I'm giving
too much credit.
But you know your shit.
There's people who are more of an expert than us, and there's people who are more than an expert than anybody. Yeah. So, if you're, it's also a bad point to talk about. Again, look at there's a thing called the hierarchy of arguments. And telling someone you don't have enough information is also a bad argument. It's lower on the pyramid than talking to the point. It's super simple, people. You don't agree with someone, state why you don't agree with the core point of what they're talking about. That's what you said. I don't agree with it because of XYZ. Saying you don't have enough information, you're scary idiots, you're bozos, you don't live in... It's all superficial.
Or saying my life experience contradicts your... Yeah, that's also a bad argument.
That's also a bit shallow.
Yeah.
Open your mind. Open yourself to a dialogue.
Anecdotes are irrelevant, guys. Yeah. And if you're
you can bring up an anecdote. I think that's also... But you can't claim that, because of your anecdote...
But if I'm bringing, numbers and statistics and research... Yeah. Right? And you bring your anecdote, what can I do with it?
Yeah. No. What can I do with an anecdote?
Yeah.
Can't buy vegetables at the market with an anecdote.
Tov,
all right, guys.
Else?
No, just,
Lots of exciting guests coming up.
Yeah.
You won't be available in the upcoming year or so. 2 vacations and the holidays and whatever.
We have so many good guests lined up. Guys, stay tuned. We have really, really some great guests. We have... Can I lay it out? Yeah. We got Eytan Reichel on the podcast. I don't know if you guys have heard of Eytan Reichel.
First interview since Corona.
Look him up. Eytan Reichel is one of the biggest musicians.
Come on, who doesn't know Eytan Reichel?
Famous around the world. Eytan Reichel, we just released an episode today on Alexander Lukashenko. What else? We have an episode with Yoav Rabinovich, a comedian, and
Yossi Bloch, the creator
editor.
of Devil Next Door on Netflix.
Yes. So stay tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Lots of good content coming.
Okay. And
Yes.
before we go,
Yes. So before we go, like we said at the beginning, guys, we have this great sponsorship. We're sponsored by Forward, The Forward. You can check them out at forward.com/2njb. You can read at forward.com, but go to forward.com/2njb to get an exclusive offer where you get 67% off, $10 for 6 months, basically.
$10
Pay
for $10.
You pay $10 for 6 months.
Yep.
So forward.com/2njb, great source for news, politics, opinion, all through a Jewish lens.
Also, Arutz Sheva, IsraelNationalNews.com. Check them out. They bring a more Israeli angle because they're based here. Lots of content. They're also on Facebook. Highly recommended. Also,
Australian Jewish News, ajn.timesofisrael.com. So check them out if you want an Australian angle on the Jewish news. Great website, ajn.timesofisrael.com. And finally,
we accept donations.
yes,
guys.
2njb.com.
/donate.
Yes.
Because we need your money.
We really need it. We need it.
So help us out.
So
Any
bad.
sum counts.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a big sum.
Yes. The bigger the better.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next time.